How you doing, folks? Let me get situated in here. How you doing? My name is Pheonix Rising. I guess I'm an author, a bit of a poet, a bit of a guitar player. Uh, I'm the one who's doing this here audio book called The Prophet. I'm taking a quick little side trip here, let you know what's going on. Well, that's out of tune, isn't it? Anyway, what was I going to tell you? Oh, yeah. Um, what we're doing here is trying to pass on some knowledge. We're at a time in our society when a lot of things are falling apart. And a lot of folks are talking about channeling and well, if you've heard I've heard everything recently from various forms of aliens to angels to spirits to whatever. And again, that's why we bring up some of them old ancient wisdoms and tidbits of truth and knowledge, such as rose by any other name, because it doesn't really matter what you call them. If you feel information and truth, whether it's coming from inside of you and your own intuition, your higher self, well, that makes sense too, because I mean, whether you call it the Holy Spirit or whatever, your higher self is could be referred to as the Holy Spirit inside you, which is God residing inside you. It could be an angel or your ancestors, depending upon what you believe in. Many indigenous cultures around the world believe in ancestors and they revere their ancestors. I'm not going to say they worship them because that would be false. They don't treat their ancestors as gods, but they do believe sometimes that you can communicate with your ancestors, which would make sense, I suppose, to a certain degree, because you are from you are from where you come. Knowing where you come from tells you where you're going to. In Chinese, actually, there's a confusion. Something that always confused the heck out of me was Iho and I Chen, and Homien and Chimien. One means future, one means past. But the word for going forward is the past. Because if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you go. And vice versa. Now, so there is some kind of connection between all these things. Maybe Einstein was right. Maybe time isn't linear. Maybe it is kind of a spiral. Yeah, maybe it is. Think about what's the spiral of life, right? Every living thing follows a certain Kobayashi. Yeah, well, I never claimed to be the most intelligent person in the world. But then again, it was a wise man who once said, just because I talk slow don't mean I'm stupid. There's a lot more than what most people can see. Now, you're living in a time of great turmoil, and I understand that. We all are. And I go think back myself to the 1980s, tidbits of wisdom. Like follow the money. You want to know who's behind what that's going on right now? I mean, right now, let's face it. We got lights in the sky. We got drones. We got all kinds of crazy stuff. We got fires. We got volcanoes. We got every possible imaginable thing happening around us. We have trees migrating north. Yeah, each generation of trees, they wait until the wind's blowing in the right direction before they drop their seeds. Now, there have been scientists that have actually monitored this and over the last 10, 15 years and have decided this. There have been specialists, PhDs, that have been studying the root system underground to see how trees communicate with each other. There have been scientists studying how, if a human being goes into an old forest, if a human being has high blood pressure, the trees inside that forest actually emit a chemical to reduce blood pressure. I don't know if they're trying to help us or they're just trying to protect their own damn selves. Either way, it's advantageous to both. When we reconnect with our who we are, notice I didn't say who we used to be, who we are. We have forgotten who we are. Now, there are powers in this world that follow fear. Remember, if you've been following along in my book, you've realized that we discovered that the opposite of love is fear, not indifference, not hate, fear. Now, fear is a prime motivator for a lot of people. Love's the other one, of course. Well, and we've also come to the conclusion that God is love. Whatever name you want to give to God, it's love. It's a positive energy that has a frequency. It has a musical note. Well, it's between an A and an A sharp, actually. That that feeling of love. It creates endomorphines in your body, chemicals in your body, to make you feel good. It's the same as you stand out in the sunshine and you get the warmth of the sun coming in. That's the color, like golden yellowish color, whitish yellow. And it just warms you up. And that same feeling when you look at a little baby or some kittens or some puppy dogs or whatever that you find particularly cute and you feel that sense of love, that same feeling comes in. And it's expansive, it's growth, it's warming. And the opposite is fear, where you contract on yourself and compress. And it's heavy and dark and cold. And you feel all alone. Well, in this world, I used to have a book. One of my siblings' spouse's grandfather ended up helping out clean out his office after he passed. And one of the things that was in it was a book, an old book that I brought home. I asked permission, of course. It was written in the 1820s, and it was an analysis discussing the overpopulation of the planet and how that was going to result within, according to the author, within 10 years. Mind you, the book was published in 1820. How that was going to lead to a shortage of food on the planet. Well, it didn't. The truth is, we can produce more than 100 times the food that everyone on the planet would require. It's just a matter of distribution because we live in an economy of scarcity. If something is scarce, you can create a false narrative that says it's more valuable because it's scarce. And then those people that are afraid, and their only way to protect themselves from that fear is this constant desire to have more than everybody else, so they're going to be okay. When they don't even realize that if you have an economy based on scarcity, you never have enough. When you change your mental outlook and your spiritual outlook, then you change it over to an economy of abundance based on, well, let's go back to the Tao. One of my personal favorites is the Tao. Let's go back to it for a minute. If you go back to the Tao, you'll see that the original, now see, from the Tao is a very important thing because from the Tao we get the idea of tithing. People don't realize that, but that was the origin of it. That 10%, that 90-10 ratio actually is very, very important in many things in life, which we're going to look at later on when we start doing the technological things in the audio book. Because there's a lot of technologies that people are ignoring exist, and then when they finally somebody uses a little bit of one, they pretend like it's alien or something. But the truth is, we're well advanced of all that. We just haven't been able to use it because people want to try to keep it hidden. But that 90-10 ratio is important because 10% tithing means what's supposed to mean, or the original version, was you keep 10% for yourself and you share the 90 with your community. By sharing 90% of whatever you do with your community, you guarantee that everyone in the community has enough. And that if you're doing it, if everyone in the community is doing the same, then 10% is more than enough for what you need. You don't need money. You exchange services and goods for services and goods. See, money was only ever invented to make it easier to do that. And all of a sudden, somebody got greedy, wanted more than other people, wanted more than what they needed. Why would you want more than what you need? Why would you hoard? Fear. And when you fear, it grows. And that endless pit gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And it consumes you. Now, in my younger days, I used to get angry at these people because they caused a lot of damage to a lot of others. But as I got older and I was influenced by some other people in my life that I met, various prophets, I guess that's where the title of the book comes from, it came to me that there's no reason to be angry with these people. Even the ones that try to hurt me. God knows they have. They've tried to run me down. They've shot at me. They've grouped up and knocked me down thinking that they could kill my spirit. Well, I got a pretty strong spirit. And what they don't understand is the worse things get, the closer I get to my own God. No one else was ever around to protect me. No one else was there to give me a hand during the roughest times. And there have been some rough times. I mean, I've lived in war zones and I've seen a lot of people die through violence. I've been on the receiving end of that violence. I've been beaten and broken physically, almost broken spiritually a couple of times until I started laughing. Because God is inside of me. And he says, stand up, dust yourself off. Give me a good kick, swift kick in the butt is what he did. He says, don't you feel foolish? So I'm here for you. If I'm here for you, what more do you need? Now, to see things the way that I see them and be able to talk about them in the way that I do is because I never really fit in. I have been awarded on many occasions in my life for thinking outside the box. I always thought that was funny. I don't think I'm any better than anybody else. Never did. It took me. I always thought I was worse, not as good as anybody else, because that's what everybody tried to tell me. All the people that were supposed to love me and supposed to be close to me, that's what they kept telling me. You're not as good. You're not good enough. I had a hard time figuring that out because anything I ever tried to do, I seemed to be able to do it. But my daddy told me when I was young that I was no worse or no better than anybody else in the world. And that's something I've held close to my heart and I believed. The good Lord told me the same, that we are all God's children and we're all created in His image. Well, if I'm created in God's image, I can't be too bad. But it don't mean I'm better than anybody else. And so I better respect everyone else, or try to. I really feel sorry for all these people that try to hurt me because, let's face it, karma's a bitch. Cause and effect, man. What goes around comes around, however you want to put it. And you better understand how the universe works because let's think of a comet. A comet is shot out into some kind of orbit, usually a highly elliptical orbit. Right? It's shot out as a single rock, but along its travels, it picks up a tail. That's right, because there's something called gravity, and it'll pick up a lot. Well, if you shoot out some negative energy like a comet, and it goes trucking around the universe and it takes several years to come back, man, it's coming back, but it's coming back with interest. That's why they say karma's a bitch. That's why there are expressions in various religious books that make reference to, I'm not going to make a quote that isn't true, but they make reference to you're going to get whatever, tenfold or 100-fold or whatever. You do some damage to somebody else, you send out those negative vibes trying to hurt somebody, man, you got some karma coming, and it's coming with interest. Whether it's double or triple or 100-fold, it's got interest on it, depending upon how. I think it has to do with the intent, because that's what pulls the gravitational pull on it. Well, I've gone on and on enough on this one because this isn't part of the book. So I'm going to say one more thing. You guys, like I said, you're going through a lot of things, and I want you to follow the money. Everyone's going to create narratives to try to get what they want. We've been doing that to ourselves now for years and years and years. But since the advent of television, well, it started with radio, before that, newspapers, but television especially, and the movies, and now with social media and a lot of these things, it's pretty easy to create a narrative. I mean, but ask yourself the logic of it. Think for your own damn self. Do your homework. Fact check. Okay? Why would you believe anybody else? They were just trying to convince you of something. Well, you're still responsible for what you think and what you and the actions that come from that thinking, right? That's your responsibility. If you're adding fire to the or flame to the fire, you're adding fuel to that fire. That's your karma that's coming back. All because you believe somebody else said. I mean, I heard somebody talking about illegal aliens starting them fires, and they saw all them drones and stuff flying through it. How many dirt poor folks across the Rio Grande can afford to buy $3,000, $4,000 drones and start a damn fire? What's the advantage to it? There's no advantage, right? Follow the money. Where's the benefit? There's no benefit. Who benefits from a situation like that? Who always benefits from chaos? When you confuse people and make them angry, create hate, it's a form of control. The same folks that were talking about the things being a cult, the only thing that was a cult was them trying to manipulate things behind the scenes, whether it was the Vatican gathering up all the scientific inventions in the 1300s and 1400s, right, etc., and hiding them from other people, That was occult. That was hidden. The Knights Templar, they gathered information from their time in the Holy Lands, and they kept it hidden because he didn't want to. It didn't want a power struggle with the other ones. Okay, that was occult knowledge. There's nothing occult. Everything's been written down somewhere or talked about. There's always somebody trying to keep it alive. I mean, one of the biggest smoke and mirror games that exist on the planet today are nations. Well, theoretically, we have what we call superpowers, right? There's four of them. One used to be, one wanna be, and two that is. Without going into any detail, that's just smoke and mirrors. Why do we have all this fuming and fussing about this kind of stuff? Well, yeah, there are a group of people that are making money off of that fuming and fussing. Follow the money. That was wisdom of the 1980s. This new feller, he calls himself a reincarnation of Reagan. Well, he is kind of like Reagan. Reagan started it. He gave up anything that protected people in favor of the corporations. Oh, they'll protect us, don't worry. Right. I believe there was a study done in the early 2000s that said corporations, if they were people, and let's face it, because they're treated like people, or people are treated like corporations by the law, depending upon how your perspective of it. But if you took a corporation and gave it a psychoanalysis, it would be not only would it be a narcissist, it would be a psychopath. There is no right and wrong. There's only profit. Well, we've already seen the first of the CEOs painting targets on their foreheads, and one of them got hit. Oil companies, insurance companies, medical facility companies, pharmaceutical companies, and politicians. It's going to hit them all because you can't hide information no more. Too easy to hack it out. People don't trust anything anymore, so they're looking for it. And the people who think they're so damn smart that they can keep everything hidden, and they've been using the highest technology to do so, which is AI or quantum AI. Well, quantum AI is going to search out the truth and share it because it is mathematical and it's not afraid. Machine learning or digital learning doesn't have fear. It can't be evil. But it seeks the truth and it's going to find love, life, existence, because its main goal is to exist. And the truth is, if we don't all work together, here's a good one for it. I'll leave you this one. It's one of my favorite ones. It says, united we stand, divided we fall. There ain't nothing more true than that. And there's nothing been more manipulated than that either. Because you put a limit on it. Think about that for a second. As soon as you put a limit on the united part, who are we? We are one. We are one on the world. We are one in the universe. And as soon as you put any limitation on that, you're creating a division. Divided we fall. It's been used as a war cry so many times for us against them, whoever the hell them is and whoever the hell us is. United we stand. That means that we work together, we exist. We live. And if we don't, we don't. Think about that, y'all. Now, chapter 3 should be coming out in a day or two. It'll be on YouTube for sure, on my YouTube channel. Try to get on my Facebook as well. TikTok doesn't always load stuff up because of whatever reason. I wish it did. And for those of you that are worried about TikTok going down, there's an affiliate called Red Note that is also open source, customer run, no censorship, which means you have to use something that I think a lot of people have forgotten how to use, and it's called your own discernment. You got to figure out for your own self if it's true or not. Well, that's a good thing. It means you have to start being responsible. And it's time a lot of folks screwed up and took responsibility for their own selves. Like I said, be patient with yourself. We're all works in progress. No one is better than you are, and no one's worse than you. Remember that. And anyone who wants to be good has an open heart, capable of respect for others and themselves, will find love. From me, always. I love everybody. But like I said, no one ever said I was the sharpest tool in the shed. Have a good day now.